Hey everyone, welcome to the Build Your English podcast, where we help you speak with confidence when it matters. I'm Iris.
And I'm Julian.
Today's episode is called Sounds Good. A polite yes that means nothing. Which is a sentence that feels dramatic until you've lived it. Then it feels like a calendar notification you never received. Sounds good. And then nothing.
It's the most elegant disappearance in professional English. Two words that look like agreement, feel like closure, and then quietly evaporate. No invite, no follow-up, no next step, just a soft, polite, vanishing act.
And the reason this matters isn't because we're fragile. It's because this phrase is a tiny example of a big skill: high-context communication. Meaning isn't only in the words, it's in timing, silence, missing actions, and what people avoid committing to when they're trying to stay likable.
Right. This is not an episode about paranoia. It's an episode about precision, about staying warm, staying professional, and still keeping control of reality.
I love that you said reality, because sounds good is how a lot of imaginary plans are born. Plans that exist emotionally, not operationally. Plans that live in the vibes.
Thursday was a vibe.
Exactly. And yes, I have a story. This episode exists because I got a sounds good that was so clean, so friendly, so normal that my brain accepted it as a binding contract. I sent a simple message. Great. Are we aligned to do it Thursday at 2? I'm being specific. I'm giving structure. I'm practically putting a little bow on the plan.
Healthy, mature, you handed them a shape.
They replied, sounds good. That's it. No, see you then. No, send the invite. No, I'll share the link. No thumbs up. No anything. Just two words floating in space like a polite balloon.
And your brain goes, great, we're done. Because the words create emotional closure.
Exactly. Emotional closure is a drug. It's like, harmony. So I stop thinking about it. I move on. Thursday arrives, 2 o'clock arrives, and I'm sitting there with my laptop open like a faithful little professional candle, burning quietly. Nothing.
No invite, no call, no running late.
Silence. And silence has a tone. This silence wasn't angry. It wasn't even rude. It was gentle. It was like getting ignored with good manners.
That's the most dangerous kind. Because if it were rude, you'd have clarity. You'd have something solid to respond to.
Yes, instead I have this soft non-event. And my brain does what brains do. It becomes a detective. I start zooming in on the message like it's a crime scene photo. Sounds good. What kind of good? Good like excited? Good like neutral? Good like, I would like you to stop talking now and I do not want to feel bad about it.
And that's when people lose peace. Because now you're trying to extract meaning from tone instead of extracting meaning from action.
And the humiliating part is, the next move feels like begging. Because if you follow up, you can feel like the person double texting a calendar. Like, hey, just checking, are you real?
You're basically asking a timestamp to love you back.
Exactly. So today we're doing something better. We're going to talk about how sounds good functions in real life as performative agreement. A socially smooth way to delay, deflect, or exit without saying no. And we're going to talk about how you respond without pleading, accusing, or turning into a courtroom.
Because the goal is not to win a moral battle. The goal is to keep your reputation and your time intact.
Okay, let's name it. Performative agreement. It's agreement as performance, not as commitment. It signals, I'm cooperative, while keeping the exit door unlocked.
Exactly. It's often about harmony. I don't want friction. I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to negotiate. I'll give you a soft yes so we can both move on.
And that's why it's so tempting. It feels socially safe. But in the long term, it creates chaos, because now you're building plans on fog.
Timelines on fog.
Timelines on fog. That's the nightmare. Because vague agreement feels like progress, but it doesn't move anything forward.
Let's do a quick anatomy of your story because it's the classic pattern. You ask for a specific time, you got a vague confirmation, you assumed the operational step would happen automatically, and then reality arrived empty.
Yes! It's like my brain heard, "We're aligned," and stopped pushing for, "Okay, who is doing what next?"
That's the distinction. Emotional closure versus logistical closure. Emotional closure is, we're good. Logistical closure is, we're scheduled and the invite exists.
So basically, sounds good can close your feelings without closing the loop.
Perfect. And if you're listening, that's the first thing to keep in your pocket. You don't need to panic when you see sounds good. You just need to notice what's missing. The next step.
And the next step is where the truth lives. Because if the agreement is real, it survives specifics. If it disappears when you ask for specifics, then it was never commitment. It was performance.
Exactly.
The funniest part is that sounds good is not even the villain. The villain is what people do with it. Sometimes it genuinely means yes. Sometimes it means, I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes it means, I don't want to deal with this right now. And the same phrase covers all of that. It's a Swiss Army knife of vague agreement.
And that's why this matters when you already speak comfortably. You're not trying to say it right anymore. You're trying to say it with intention. You're managing the social cost of clarity.
Yes, because being clear has a cost. It can create friction. And many people would rather pay with time and confusion than pay with a slightly uncomfortable conversation.
Which is ironic because confusion is usually more expensive.
Exactly. Confusion is like interest on a credit card. It feels small today. It destroys you later.
Let's make it practical without turning it into a lesson. We'll do 3 responses: gentle, direct, and high stakes. Same situation. You propose something. They reply, sounds good, and nothing else.
My old response was to relax and trust. My new response is to add one small line that forces logistics but stays warm. Something like, great, should I send the invite? That's it. It's not confrontational. It's operational kindness.
Operational kindness is perfect. You assume goodwill, but you also create structure.
The direct version is slightly firmer. Perfect. Just to confirm, are we locked for Thursday at 2? If yes, I'll send the invite now. It's still friendly, but it asks for an actual yes.
And the high stakes version, when you cannot afford fog, is, great, for planning purposes, can you confirm by end of day whether we're proceeding? That creates a decision point.
And for planning purposes is such a professional shield. It's like, I'm not dramatic, I'm organized.
Exactly. Organization is harder to argue with than emotion.
Okay, role play. I'll be the vague person. You be the person who refuses to live inside fog.
Go.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. What's the next step on your side? Should I send the calendar invite or will you? That's all. It's warm, but it asks for ownership.
Ownership. That's the key. Because what sounds good often avoids is ownership. It avoids the tiny moment of responsibility.
Exactly. It keeps the relationship smooth by keeping accountability blurry.
And to be fair, sometimes people are not trying to manipulate you. They're just overloaded. Their brain is like, yes, yes, yes. And then their day eats them alive.
Right. And if you respond aggressively, you punish overwhelm. If you respond passively, you become a victim of overwhelm. The elegant move is to reduce friction while preserving clarity.
That sounds like a Julian sentence. Reduce friction. Preserve clarity.
It's basically the job description.
Okay, so in my story, I eventually followed up. I wrote, "Hey, just checking we're still on for Thursday at 2. I didn't see a calendar invite." Very polite, very calm, very, "I am not accusing you of anything. Please don't make me feel weird."
And what happened?
They replied, "Oh, sorry, got busy. Can we do next week?" Which means Thursday was never real. Thursday was a vibe.
Thursday was a vibe. And this is the core comedy of modern work. We generate imaginary plans to avoid tiny moments of discomfort.
Imaginary plans are my favorite betrayal because nobody did anything wrong. It just vanished.
Soft betrayal.
Soft betrayal. It's bleak, but true. And again, not malicious, just avoidant.
And avoidance is common in polite cultures and high-pressure workplaces. People want to be agreeable. They want to avoid conflict. They want to keep options open.
Keeping options open, yes. That's another reason sounds good happens. It's a yes that buys time, not a yes that commits.
Exactly. It's like reserving the right to disappear later without being the villain.
Which is why we need strategies that don't rely on mind reading. Because I don't want to become an amateur detective of tone. I want a system.
The system is simple. Translate vague agreement into one of four things: next step, timeline, owner, or decision point. You don't need all four, you just need one.
That's clean. And it still feels like a conversation, not a checklist.
Because you phrase it naturally. Want me to send the invite? Should we lock a time? What do you need from me? When would you like to revisit this? Those are human questions.
Okay, let's expand into a different context. Because sounds good isn't only meetings. It shows up in messages about deliverables, too. Someone says, "I'll send the draft by Friday." You say, "Great." They say, "Sounds good." And then Friday becomes a legend.
Friday becomes folklore.
Yes, and you don't want to be the person chasing. But you also don't want to be the person building a timeline on fog.
Here's the subtle move. You don't chase the person. You anchor the process. You respond with something that makes time real. Like, perfect. If you send it by Friday, I can review on Monday morning. Now you've created a chain. Their delay now impacts something visible.
That's so smart. You're not saying, "Don't forget." You're saying, "Here's what happens next." And suddenly, the task has weight.
Exactly. You're turning vague cooperation into an operational sequence.
If I had to say it in one sentence, don't respond to "sounds good" with relief. Respond with structure.
Perfect. Structure is not aggression. Structure is respect for reality.
Okay, I want to talk about the performance part, because that's the fascinating human layer. Sounds good is often used when people want to look aligned in the moment. In meetings, alignment is social currency.
Yes, people want to appear cooperative in front of others. They want the group to feel smooth. So they say the agreeable thing, and they defer the real decision to later.
And later is where things go to die.
Later is where accountability gets diluted.
This is the yes in the room, no in the follow-up phenomenon, the performance of alignment. And it's not always evil. Sometimes people need time. Sometimes they're scared to disagree publicly. Sometimes the power dynamics make it risky.
Exactly. And the higher the stakes, the more likely people are to use polite language to create safety. They're protecting themselves.
Which is why your response must be elegant. Because you can't bulldoze someone into clarity. You can invite clarity.
Invite clarity, yes. And you do it with low drama prompts, like, Just to make sure we're aligned, what are the next steps? That phrase keeps the tone calm.
Just to make sure we're aligned is like a diplomatic seatbelt.
Exactly. It keeps you from flying through the windshield of awkwardness.
Okay, I want to add a second story, because otherwise it sounds like I'm just traumatized by one calendar moment. This one is smaller, but more common. A message thread. I ask a simple question. Are you okay with option A? They reply, sounds good. I take it as approval. I proceed. And later they come back like, wait, I thought we were discussing, not deciding.
The sounds good that means I acknowledge your message instead of I approve.
Exactly. It's not agreement. It's acknowledgement wearing agreement's outfit. And I hate it because the words are misleading. It's like they borrowed the word good to avoid responsibility.
And that's where precision matters. In those cases, you can gently clarify the meaning without making it personal. You can say, great, just confirming, is that an approval to proceed? Simple, no drama.
An approval to proceed is such a clean phrase. It feels adult. It feels like a hallway in an office building.
It does, but it works because it gives them an easy moment to either commit or correct.
And if they correct, you haven't lost anything. You've gained clarity before you built something.
Exactly. Clarity early is cheap, clarity late is expensive.
That's painfully true. So basically, sounds good is not the end of a conversation. It's often the beginning of the part where you need one more sentence.
Perfect. One more sentence saves you hours later.
Okay, let's talk about polite disappearance, because that's the thumbnail energy. Sounds good. And then, nothing. The polite disappearance is when someone uses pleasant language to exit, hoping you won't notice the exit.
And the reason it works is that you don't want to be the person who makes it awkward. You don't want to say, wait, are you leaving? So you accept the surface.
Exactly. You accept the surface, and then you suffer in silence like, should I follow up? Am I annoying? Am I needy? Am I a calendar gremlin?
A calendar gremlin, exactly. So your response needs to protect you from that emotional spiral. And the best responses are ones that feel natural and neutral.
Give me a few neutral lines that are almost impossible to interpret as pushy.
Sure. Great. Want me to send a quick invite? Perfect. What's your preference on timing? Sounds good. Should we lock this in now? The key is you're offering a path forward, not demanding one.
Offering a path forward. That's it. Because demanding triggers defensiveness, and then you get even more vagueness.
Exactly. And also, offering gives them a face-saving way to admit they were being vague. They can say, yes, please send the invite, and now it's solved.
Face saving is important. Because a lot of this is ego management. People don't want to admit they forgot. They don't want to admit they're overloaded. They don't want to admit they don't want to do it.
Right. Polite language often exists to protect face. So you can respect face while still insisting on reality.
Respect face, insist on reality. That's the whole episode.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get a little spicy, because sometimes sounds good shows up in negotiations. You propose a scope. They say, sounds good, and you think you have agreement. Then later they add 5 more requests like they're topping a pizza.
Yes, that's agreement without boundaries. Sounds good can be the start of scope creep.
Scope creep is the cousin of polite disappearance. One disappears, the other expands. Both ignore reality.
In those situations, you need to anchor the agreement in a summary. Not a long summary, just one sentence that defines what sounds good refers to. Great, so to confirm, we're aligned on X and Y with Z as a follow-up. Now, sounds good has a target.
Giving it a target is brilliant, because otherwise it's just a mood.
Exactly. Agreement should attach to something concrete.
Let me tell you the funniest version of sounds good. It's when someone replies sounds good to something that is objectively not good. Like, our deadline moved to tomorrow. Sounds good. That's not agreement, that's surrender.
That's the language of emotional shutdown.
Exactly. It's like they're dissociating in English.
And you can hear it. Tone matters. But again, we're not detectives. We're translators. If someone says, sounds good, in surrender mode, the kind move is to ask a clarifying question that brings them back into agency. Just checking, are you okay with that timeline, or should we revisit?
That's such a humane question. And it still protects you, because you're not blindly accepting a fake yes.
Exactly. It's clarity with empathy.
Now, I want to address the listener who's thinking, but if I ask for specifics, I'll sound controlling. Because that fear is real.
It is. But here's the truth. Professionals who respect you will not punish you for being clear. And people who punish clarity are the ones who benefit from vagueness.
That's a strong sentence.
It's true. If clarity is treated like an insult, the environment is already unhealthy.
And also, asking for a next step is not controlling. It's coordination. It's literally the function of work.
Exactly. If you phrase it calmly, it reads as competence, not aggression.
Okay, mini checkpoint. If you're driving or walking right now and you want the simplest takeaway, when you see sounds good, don't decide what it means. Ask what happens next.
Perfect.
Now let's do a longer role play, because we need to show how this works in a meeting setting. We'll keep it real. I'll be the manager who wants harmony. You'll be the person who wants clarity without embarrassing anyone.
Go.
Okay, so we'll launch the update next week. Sounds good?
Sounds good. Just so we're aligned, who's owning the final Q&A, and when do we want the go/no-go decision? That's it. I'm not challenging the plan. I'm anchoring ownership and timing.
That's so good. Because you didn't say, I don't think we can. You said, great, how do we make this real?
Exactly. You're converting agreement into structure.
Now I'll do the classic vague reply. Yeah, sounds good.
And that's where projects go to die. So I'd follow with a warm offer. Great, I can send a quick recap with next steps. Now you're creating documentation without sounding like a hall monitor.
Documentation without being a hall monitor. That should be on a t-shirt.
It's also how you protect yourself. Because later, when someone says, I thought we said something else, you have a calm record.
Calm record is everything. Because in high-context environments, memory becomes political.
Exactly. And clarity is a form of self-respect.
Speaking of self-respect, can we talk about the emotional trap? Because sounds good can trigger that little people-pleaser part of you. The part that wants to be easy, wants to be liked, wants to avoid being difficult.
Yes, and that's why people accept vague agreement. They fear the social cost of asking for specifics. But the cost of not asking is usually higher.
Higher and lonelier. Because then you're alone with uncertainty.
Exactly.
Okay, I have a confession. When I didn't get the invite on Thursday, I didn't follow up immediately. I waited. I told myself a story. They're busy. I don't want to bother them. And what I was really doing was avoiding the tiny discomfort of asking for reality.
That's honest, and it's common. People confuse not bothering with being professional, but professionalism includes clarity.
Yes, professionalism is not silence. It's coordination.
Exactly, and once you internalize that, your follow-ups become calmer. You're not chasing, you're closing loops.
Closing loops. That's the language I needed. Because chasing feels needy. Closing loops feels competent.
Exactly.
So let's give listeners one more example line that feels like closing loops, not chasing.
Quick note to close the loop. Are we proceeding with option A? It's clean. It's neutral. It frames the message as process, not emotion.
To close the loop is so good. It's like you're tidying up a conversation.
Exactly. You're not demanding attention, you're reducing ambiguity.
Now, we should also talk about the situations where sounds good really is a yes. Because I don't want people to start distrusting everyone.
Right. Sometimes sounds good is simply casual agreement. It's friendly, it's relaxed. And if the person consistently follows through, you don't need to treat it like a threat.
Consistency is the key. If someone says, sounds good, and then sends the invite every time, that's not a polite disappearance. That's just their style.
Exactly. The problem is pattern, not phrase.
Pattern, not phrase. That's important, because we're not here to villainize two words. We're here to manage what happens after them.
Exactly.
Okay, let's land this with one strong idea. Sounds good is often a social move, not a logistical move.
Yes, and the way you respond depends on what you need. If you need social harmony, you can accept it. If you need action, you add a next step.
If I had to say it in one sentence, I'd say, if it's real, it will survive a request for specifics. That line alone would have saved me my Thursday candle moment.
It's true. Reality doesn't fear details.
All right, before we wrap, let's bring back the thumbnail energy one last time because it's the perfect summary of this whole dynamic. Sounds good. And then, nothing.
And your job is not to panic or celebrate. Your job is to translate. Great. What's next? Perfect. Who owns the invite? For planning purposes, can you confirm? That's it.
Translate vibes into steps.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the Build Your English podcast, where we help you speak with confidence when it matters. Next time, we're going even deeper into performance agreement, the moment everyone says yes in the room and no in the follow-up. The meeting after the meeting.
The polite world of sure and we'll see. See you next time.